What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. So, Memento Mori. Remember that you must die. So, I have been reflecting on this as of late. And, yeah, remember that you must die. Not that you would die or shall die, but you must die. And this saying is meant to allow a person to reflect on the eventuality of death, to remind them that the clock is ticking and that time waits for nobody. That eventually you're going to go back to a state of consciousness and darkness and lack of awareness. And it really is about contemplating what is it you would like to do with your life, how you would like to spend your time, with who you would like to spend it, and what sort of impact you want to be remembered for when you're gone. You see, most people, including myself, have spent a large portion of our lives just living unconsciously, just following the script that was written by others. Family, school, workplaces, you name it. And that script, while it's not necessarily or inherently harmful, it is meant to fulfill the agenda of the writer of the script, not you as an individual. This is also why a lot of people, while it does seem like it's a bad thing, actually, if they're lucky enough, they'll have a midlife crisis. And a midlife crisis is really all about an awakening. Once you understand how things work and the role you have in those workings, you realize that this isn't what you want. And this awareness is sped up by the realization that you're already halfway through life and that you don't have much time left. And that perhaps following expectations and leaning into the role you were assigned is not gonna get you what you want out of life or take you where you want to go. So you start, in a way, having a mini panic. Depression sets in if you haven't already been depressed, which is why you're having the awakening. And you start simply realizing that this is not right. This is not right. You see, no matter where you are in a play. This play was written and directed by another person just like you. And you found yourself to be assigned and most likely voluntold that this is your role in this play, in this theatrical. You had no say in it until about halfway through your life. And that is scary once you arrive at that realization. When you become conscious of it, especially when you also understand that that play is made up. It's not necessarily based in any material reality. And you come to the conclusion that half of your time, half of your energy, half of your awareness has been capitalized upon by others for their own benefit and not in service of your own interest or goals or agenda. And this is why I say, for those of you out there that have a midlife crisis, consider yourself lucky. Because a midlife crisis is nothing more than you waking up to that truth, to that reality. And for those of you out there that continue playing your assigned role within a theatrical and you are still asleep until the day you pass, well, you're also lucky, because I guess in your case, ignorance is bliss. And for the minority out there that are writing the script for the rest of us, or that are living their life on their own terms, congratulations. You won a life. Most likely at the expense of others. So, Memento Mori. You must die. So, you need to remind yourself of that every waking minute of time you have left. And being young does not guarantee that you have a lot of time left. Okay? So, remind yourself of that, because you want to be conscious of how you spend your time and how you have that time and energy be of service to your goals and objectives. Basically, do what you want in life, man, or woman. Stop worrying so much about what others think, what others' expectations of you are, if people will be disappointed with you, if you will have a reputation that is possibly not socially acceptable, as long as it's not deadly, because there are places in the world where if you don't have the right reputation, you can be offed off. So maybe that won't be a bit cognizant of, but otherwise, just live life on your terms as much as possible. At the end of the day, no one is paying for the consequences by you, and nobody's going through death with you but you. You're born alone and you die alone. Okay? Just because people are there when you were born, and if you're lucky enough, there will be people there when you die, attending your funeral, does not mean they're going through that experience with you at that moment. Life is a single player game, okay? And just because you're taking a role in a group play does not make it any less of a single effort. So if that's the case, then focus on doing you. Do what's best for you. Do what you enjoy. You know, don't fall into the trappings of others. If you're, for example, the kind of person who works really long hours, works hard to get material things just to fit in a social hierarchy, but deep down you resent it, then don't. Okay? Because it won't matter how many material things you have if it's not where your heart is at. All you're doing is making yourself miserable. You are playing into other people's hands. And most importantly, even when you get to the top, you're not going to enjoy it. Okay? Because it's not what you really want. It's what you feel or think you have to do to make it in life. And that's how a lot of people live, especially people that are super ambitious and super driven. They live that way. And a lot of them are doing it because they believe that once they finally reach to the top, that they're gonna be happy. That that's basically what it takes to make it in life. So they can finally live on their terms. Only to realize that that's not the case. So you wanna write your own story. You wanna create your own play. And then select the role you wanna play and play it. You were born with the creative freedom to do that. But you pretty much got groomed into someone else's theatrical without your consent. And once you arrive at that realization, you simply have to make a course correction. Because now you have the knowledge, now you have the awareness, but most importantly, you have the ability and capability to do so. If you're happy with the role you're playing and the theatrical you're a part of, then good on you. You have nothing to worry about. However, if you find yourself discontent, having this existential anxiety, this boredom, this annoyance that there must be more to life than this, then you need to examine the life you're leading and also consider that perhaps you're not in the right playing the right role in the right theatrical, and that there are other theatricals and roles you can play. It could be of your own creation or someone else's. And it's important that I bring this up, why I use the word theatrical. Some people will say game, okay? You got to play the game. Because we're in a stage of civilization where 90% of everything created is mental. It's psychological, okay? Maybe 10% of it is just material. Unless you live in a hunter-gatherer tribe like the Hadza, where basically 100% of reality is material, then for the rest of us that live in the developed world, you are in a psychological reality, meaning that everything is made up. It came up out of someone else's mind, and it's an adaptation to cope with the hardships of reality, in particular in the natural order, and to try to override the natural order, which as human beings, we have succeeded in doing that. So once you realize that it's all just psychological, then why are you still under the influence of someone else's psychology? Why not choose your own psychology? Why not create a psychology that other people want to subscribe to? The movie Inception had a great theme in it about how ideas are like viruses. And that's really all life nowadays is in the developed world, is that you subscribe to an idea and then you live that idea out as long as it serves you. And if it doesn't serve you, the beauty of it is that you have the liberty to choose a different idea that serves you. And all of this takes us back full circle to Memento Mori. Remember, you must die. So if you're going to die and you live in one of the easiest times in history, and I know some people are going to disagree with that, but factually speaking, the further away you are from the natural order, the easier your life is. Okay? Because you move from the material world to the psychological world. And when it comes to psychology, there are no limits. Okay? Basically, the possibilities, the probabilities are endless. But if you're stuck within the constraints of the natural environment, of the material world, then you lead a very brutish and a harsh life. So the good news is, it's all made up. And because you're going to die anyways, might as well make up what you want out of your life. You don't have to follow the prescription or the well-trod path, okay? I will say, though, that if you're the kind of a person that is not comfortable with risk, is not comfortable with change, is not comfortable with uncertainty, and you prefer the safety of certainty and the routine within which you have found yourself, then by all means, man or woman, stick to it, okay? If that's what works for you. But like I said, for those of you out there that have a midlife crisis, or you feel this ache of discontent within your bones and within your gut that this isn't life, that this isn't meant for you, that there has to be more out there, then I encourage you to remember that you started dying at a cellular level the moment you were born. Okay? Life is a duality. You literally started to die the moment you were born. So you need to remember that. You need to remember that you're born with a specific number of finite cells with a specific amount of energy at a cellular level, with a specific lifetime and clock on each cell, all determined by your genetics. And the moment, actually not even born technically, but well, let's leave it at born for ease of discussion. But the moment you were born, all of these started to dwindle and you pretty much started your march towards death. So knowing that, being aware of that it's all gonna be up and done soon enough, how are you gonna lead your life? Are you gonna continue to prepare, hesitate, be scared, not get the results you want, live in this obnoxious existence and reality where you feel unfulfilled? Or are you going to have the courage to make the necessary change? Are you going to get out there and have friction with life and see where it takes you? See what you're made of. See if you really even know who you are. Because like I said, you are living within a role scripted for you in someone else's theatrical. So are you gonna die without even knowing who you are? Never mind living life now at this point on your terms or what you want to do. Do you even know who you are? Because you've been playing a role and you didn't choose that role. It feels like you have chosen it because this role you started being conditioned and groomed into before you were even conscious to consent to taking on that role. But are you even that person you think you are? Food for thought. I mean, listen, the psychology behind this is fascinating and the rabbit hole gets deeper, but I don't want this upload to keep dragging on. All I'm saying is use the awareness of the fact that you're going to die to your benefit, to shape your life for your own service and enjoyment, okay? To pursue the things that truly make you feel alive. Because at the end of the day, it all won't matter because it's all gonna end. So might as well live on your terms, do the things that make you feel alive and make you feel happiness and joy. So when you take that last breath, you have no regrets, you have no concerns, you have no worries, but you are at peace. You are at peace knowing that you've done the best you could and that you've lived the best life you could have had. And with that said, you guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. As per usual, very much appreciate your time and attention, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.